Yeah, it's weird, man. A lot of these celebrities know my face, but they don't know my name, and it's very uncomfortable. And sometimes, like, they see so many people. I even wonder sometimes if they remember me, even remember my face. Um, but anytime, like, honestly, dude, when I do meet a celebrity and they call me my name, like when Kevin Hart says my name, I'm like, man, that's cool. You know,
I'm sorry. Every
it,
time I hear Oprah say, "Hey, Adam," I'm just like, God dang it, that's so
yeah,
cool.
yeah, that's cool.
Welcome to the Hollywood Raw YouTube page, guys. We're happy to have you here. Make sure you like, subscribe, leave us comments, do all the stuff.
What are you waiting for? Let's go. I got a drug addiction to feed.
Welcome to the Hollywood Raw podcast. Over there is Dax Holt. My name is Adam Glyn, two entertainment news journalists with pretty much 2 decades worth of experience. We are not just two people who gossip, even though we do. We have expertise in this field. I always say we're black belts in this. That's why, like, a lot of times people reach out to me just like say, "Hey, let me pick your brain," because I feel like we know this industry pretty well. Would you say that, Dax?
I would 100% say that, but like, you're one of those people that would like people want to hire to come to dinner with them. Like, you're that kind of person where you've got so many stories to tell and weird and wild moments in your life that like you're almost a party trick yourself.
Yeah, it's honestly like when I start telling people my story, like sometimes like I try not to, I don't know about you, Dax, but I try not to tell people what I do, or if I tell them what I do, I say it very vague because I don't want it to come off like a jerk. I don't want it to come off very narcissistic, even though I enjoy what I do. I'm very excited about what I do. But then once you kind of go down the rabbit hole, like how did I become this or how did I end up where I'm at? Honestly, Dax, I become like Forrest Gump. I'm like, well, I joined it just has this crazy story that just keeps going and going. I'm like, you got 3 hours, and it's just very random and weird. Especially like when I meet someone who like questions what I do, and then I tell them some of the stuff I've done. They think I'm lying, and I just hope I have someone who's like who I know well. He's not lying.
I'm not. I mean, there's the stories that you've told me personally that I'm like, how is this your life? How are you walking around with all these stories in your back pocket? Like, you have the weirdest life, truly.
It's really unique. It's very unique, but we're all trying to punch through it. If you're new to the Hollywood Raw podcast, in the middle of the week, sometimes Dax talks to each other. Sometimes we talk to a celebrity or someone along the Hollywood industry. It could be anyone from a publicist, security guy to one of our paparazzi friends to a fellow journalist. To kind of humanize the industry. We always like to say we humanize the industry. On Fridays, we release the Raw Rundown, which is the top 10 stories of the week. So thank you guys for listening. If you've been listening, if you're a new listener, welcome. Today, what we do quarterly, we do these things where Dax and I do it. We go to our private Facebook group called Off the Record, which you should be on. It's a really, really fun community where we talk to you. You guys could talk to us. And it's called Off the Record, which we have to allow you to be in. It's just a good message board, really. And we say quarterly, once a quarter, we say, hey, ask us anything. We answer some of your questions, and those questions could be some of the most random stuff to some unique where you're curious about something, and Dax and I do our very best to answer those questions. So that's what we're going to do today. Is that all right with you, Dax?
I love it. This is one of my favorite episodes because I feel like in the Facebook group, people are always asking us stuff, and we'll answer in there. But I feel that there are questions that they're asking that the audience as a whole would be very interested in hearing. So it's fun to do these so that we're answering bigger questions that people have out there. So yes, and one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah, we try. People are always asking us questions. We try to save them towards once a quarter, and it could be some of these questions could be just general questions. Some of them could be related to specific news stories that's going on in the media today. I just did a story about Whoopi Goldberg this week. She's looking for a bigger green room, a bigger dressing room. Sorry. ABC. Dax, so you did Live with Kelly.
Yeah.
So ABC, if you've ever been to New York City, has an unbelievable location. They're on the Upper West Side, and it's like in a beautiful area right near Central Park. And ABC is moving all their shows, all their offices are moving all the way downtown. So this was the last week for Kelly and Mark Consuelos, The View, Tamron Hall. They're all moving downtown. So that studio, Dax, that you did live with Kelly at is going to be no longer.
Wow.
Did you know that? I didn't know.
Well, what I didn't know is that all the other shows were there as well. When I did that show, I knew that Live with Kelly was there, and they had like a couple different levels, and I knew that like when Ryan took over, his radio studio was like either up or down from that studio, but I didn't realize The View was also there. I didn't see any of that. Yeah,
they're moving all the way downtown. I mean, it's a totally different area of the city. I mean, it's probably about a 40-minute different commute. It's not far, but New York City traffic, it is much different.
Is
so it's
it
going to be
a
much
location?
different. Honestly, it's hard to say. I mean, I love the last location they were at. It was right near Central Park. It was beautiful. It was a nice area. It felt like very community and suburb. Now they're moving actually on the skirts of Soho, right next to the Holland Tunnel. I'm curious what the new View studio is going to look like. I'm curious what the new Ryan Kelly Ripa studio is going to look like. But Whoopi Goldberg was a little bit upset because she's mad that she doesn't have a big enough big enough dressing room. And she's also upset that she doesn't have a bathroom in her dressing room. So she had her own offices. She has her own production team.
That's legitimate concerns. When you are that big of a star, you should have your own bathroom inside your dressing room. Like, even when I was doing Access Hollywood stuff, most of those green rooms or dressing rooms, had their own bathrooms for the big talent. You know, a lot of green rooms have a bathroom so that you're not having to share the bathroom with the whole staff, the production crew, or everyone else. I feel like that is a concern that is validated.
Yeah, I was actually I haven't been in a lot of dressing rooms. However, I remember being in Matt Lauer's dressing room. And his dressing room had, I think he had an office and a dressing room. From what it sounds like to me, I could be wrong, but I was in his dressing room and it was nice. It wasn't like anything huge, but he did have I believe, if I remember, a shower in his dressing room. And it makes sense. Like, the guy gets up early in the morning. He's got to get there right away to shower. Sometimes to do something fun. So
those hosts are there crazy early too.
Yeah.
You got to remember, like, they're getting there at 3 a.m. or something dumb because they got to get ready to be on the news by 7, 6, a.m.
Yeah. So, this is, again, my story this week was Whoopi Goldberg kind of be upset about that. All right. I'm sorry. I'm trying to just riffing a little bit about that. Today we're doing, again, the Ask Me Anything episode. Dax, you have some of the questions ready. They're ready to go. Before we get to the questions, we read reviews. We read them. Why? Because we have low self-esteem. And we need something to pick us up. But also, the reviews really, really help boost the podcast and bring it to the next level. It helps out with the algorithm, helps out the Spotify charts, helps us out get sponsors, because we don't do a Patreon. We don't ask you for money. The only thing we do is actually take a few minutes and to leave us a review. And if you do that, we'll actually read your review live on air. Occasionally, we do contests regarding the reviews. So, Dax, do you have a review ready for us?
Got a review. This one comes from DC, 5 stars. The topic is, did you ask out Lana Del Rey? Okay, I do love the podcast. I listen to every episode, but I have to know if you were the guy at TMZ that asked out Lana Del Rey for a drink back in the day. Laugh out loud. Please read this on the pod and let me know. I figured this was a good review for Ask Us Anything.
You're
episode.
A snake, Dax. You really are. HADC, that was me. I was the guy. Dax, I get asked about this so often. 3 people, 5 people. I've had celebrities reach out to me like, dude, was that you who did that? And it's crazy how this video has become so viral. In fact, TMZ did a thing a while, not too long ago. I should say maybe a couple of years ago. They did the top 10 most awkward moments in TMZ. I guess we're camera guys on the street. Yeah. I think I had like 4 of them.
That's because you have no filter and you like to ask the super awkward stuff. It makes for great television.
Yeah, so I think I had a good amount, but the number one was the Lana Del Rey thing, and I get asked about that all the time.
But the weird
I
thing
wonder.
was,
I'm
it's
just curious
not
if she gets.
awkward.
It
It
wasn't
wasn't
awkward.
awkward because she was into it. It would have been awkward if she looked at you like you're a piece of trash, but she was into it and she was like totally down. So that to me makes it not as awkward.
I don't think it's awkward at all. In fact, like actually, one of the videos on the list was an experience I had with Jerry Seinfeld, where he started like coming at me, and I think I did Jerry Seinfeld to him, and afterwards, like he was like, okay, I got him because I the video was that Jerry Seinfeld was getting on a bike outside of a diner, and I asked him about Porsches, and he goes, "What you don't?" I was like, "I thought maybe give me advice on Porsches," and he's like, "What you don't think I do anything all day?" And I did a joke to him. I said, "No, it's hard to do nothing because then you do something and then you're not doing nothing anymore." And then he's like, "Okay, you know, he was like, that was funny that you did like my bit to me." And I don't think it was awkward, but some other people. The only awkward thing on that list that I did was Jerome Bettis, the NFL player or retired NFL player, and he's an NFL broadcaster. I asked him a question. Dax, I think it's a very, very good question. However, the answer is always going to be awkward depending on the setup. The question was to this NFL player was the locker rooms and the shower. The showers in the locker room. Are they group showers or are they individual showers? Like, are they stalls or is it like are they giving you soap and shampoo? Like, what's the setup like? And he was questioning me about like, why would you ask that question? I was like,
Because you're like, it's interesting.
It is interesting. There are a bunch of like, multimillionaires who that weigh 250 pounds all standing next to each other, just naked, just showering. Like, what's the deal here? What does it look
about like back in like the high school when you had literally the one shower post in the middle with like 5 heads on it?
Yeah.
That shit was awkward. Like,
wait, did you have to shower in high school?
Like, where do you look? Like, yes. Like,
you guys had a shower in high school?
Well, you had gym and stuff. Yeah. So if you want to go back to class all nasty, but like there was a pole and it just had 5 heads and you're like, cool. Like, this is not awkward at all.
Yeah.
Where do you look?
It's so funny, dude. I wasn't ever lucky in gym class because first of all, nobody showered in my school after gym class. You had to change, but you didn't shower. But my first period of the day was always gym. So it's like I would shower to get ready for school, and then I'd go to school for 15 minutes for homeroom, and then go play gym. And then I'm like, all right, why did I just shower? Like, it was just a waste.
Did you do sports in high school?
I did, but I mean that was after I played sports. I'm telling you, the girl, the DA, whatever, the girl who gets her food, she's like, answer the question. Did you or did you not go out line?
Well, where did you guys go for the date?
Here's the thing is, I don't want to. I'm just curious. I appreciate the review. First of all, thank you for the review.
Yeah.
I am the guy. I thank you for like being interested in that. I think it's very cool, and trust me, it's cool that people think that's very cool, and it was an actual thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was an actual ask out. With that said, I'm just curious if Lana gets asked about this a lot, as much as I do.
No chance.
No, you don't think anybody in her life has ever asked her about this?
Oh, I'm sure someone's asked her, but I think that it's a much bigger story on this side than on that side. On her side, they're like, how was performing with Billie Eilish at Coachella? Like, they've got so many other big things.
Yeah, like, wait, that's the biggest moment of your life, getting asked out on the street by some dude. But you know what's so cool about that? The question
really is like, hey, what was it like in the when you really hit rock bottom and you were getting asked out by a paparazzi guy? That's
sure enough. I mean, it was right after the SNL incident, so yeah, you're not wrong. But I have paparazzi photos of that day.
Really?
Like me, like holding her bag and like lifting her bag off the ground and like talking to her, and it's kind of like cool. Actually, it's funny on my social media feed the other day. You get like those like 1 year ago or 10 years ago, but 12 years ago, I have a photo. It's a really cool photo of me on the street hanging out with Jim Carrey, and so I have like a bunch of these like random photos of me on the street, like talking to, I don't know, like Orlando Bloom, to Tobey Maguire, to Joel McHale. Like, they're very candid, real paparazzi photos. So if I ever showed them to people, like, who are you? What is going on?
It's funny that you say that. So the other day, my nephew is a massive Lakers fan, like the biggest Lakers fan, obviously a huge Kobe fan. And we were talking, and I was like, oh yeah, I met Kobe. And he was like, what? Like, when did you meet Kobe? And he like literally didn't believe me that I met him. And so I'm like, okay, let me go back and look at the event that I had met him at and see if there's any photos, anything at all. I found a photo, but it's not a great photo. If you can look, you see that it's like my hair right there and Kobe.
That's
so
cool.
You see the
That's so
microphone.
cool.
The microphone is right there. I'm talking to him, but it's not a great shot. My nephew's like, yeah, I don't believe you. I'm like, damn it.
I know.
I promise I met him. He was dope.
Yeah. I have I got so many photos with people. It's funny. Sometimes like when I have like a lot of free time, I try to organize them, but it's just there's so many. I actually
just put together your own little Shutterfly album of you with celebrities.
I just wonder like if the celebrities I have are going to be relevant in 30 years. So people are like, oh my God, you met this person, that person, you know?
It's no. And I'll tell you why. My daughter the other day got super interested. Like she's finally to the age where she's like, Dad, what do you do?
She could be a fan. Yeah.
Why? She's like, why do people come up to you in the street and say hi and want to take photos with you? Like she doesn't understand it. And so I'm trying to explain to her, well, TMZ, when I was on it, was a very big show, and I got recognized everywhere I went, and that still follows on to this day. And she's like, okay, so who have you met? And I've realized that all the people that I think are big stars that I've met over the years, she has no idea who they are.
Yeah.
So she'd be like, okay, tell me who you met. And I have to really think about it to go, who would she know? So I can say like Justin Bieber or Kobe or whatever. But someone even like Kim Kardashian, she's like, who is that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, she's one of the most famous people on the entire planet. She has no idea. I have to think of like YouTubers or musicians that potentially, but most of my catalog of people that I think are crazy famous, Lindsay Lohan or whatever, she's like, I don't know who the hell that is.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I feel like what I'm going to have to start doing is taking photos with all these young people these days, just so it's like, you know, my next of kin, you know, will kind of look like, oh, that was cool stuff.
YouTubers. Yeah, you got to go to YouTubers like Ben Aslert or whatever. That's who my daughter would be actually excited if I had met. Kim Kardashian doesn't care. Ben Aslert, she would care.
It's weird. It's like Sophia Loren. Who cares about a photo of Sophia Loren? Like, if you told your boys I got a photo of Sophia Loren, they'd be like, so who's that? Like, they wouldn't know. But that's what your kids are eventually going to look at. All right, Dax, let's get to the Ask Us Anything.
Okay, so the first question comes from Debbie Ashy. She said, why don't you guys show pictures on your YouTube channel? Because obviously, you know, a lot of you guys are listening to us on a podcast, which is whatever platform you're listening on. But we do have a visual version that's up on YouTube or Red Coral, wherever you want to watch the visual version. And they said, why don't you use pictures? This has been brought up 100 times to us. Pictures can be very expensive. Is really what it comes down to. We talk about a lot of paparazzi photos. We talk a lot about like Getty photos, things that take money to license them. And even with a Getty image, they don't care if you are necessarily the smallest blog or a podcast on them or a huge one. A lot of times it's over $100 to license a photo. So for us, we'll talk about it. We can't put it up because that's what I did at TMZ for a long time was clips clearance. I was the one licensing photos or elements, images for the TV show, the website, the tour bus, all of the different things. So I know how expensive it can really get to license stuff. So we tend not to put up too many photos. There is some grace when it comes to social media and what people are posting on Instagram. A lot of those things you can grab as long as it's also not a paparazzi photo that they have posted on their Instagram. So we tend to just stick away from it. We're hoping to put a little more time and effort into some of our social platforms over the next couple years to try to really boost this up. So you might start seeing some photos, but as of right now, we too broke. That's why you don't see photos.
Here's the thing is you do see a lot of people that do put their photos and videos, like photos on their social media and YouTube and Instagram. With that said, those people are risking a lot. In fact, they're probably, if someone reported them, they probably lose their
a lot of
account.
money.
They'd have
Yeah.
to pay a lot of money. I don't think people realize the repercussions. Even if you're doing one of those things where like you're on TikTok when you're the talking head over a photo, you're risking a lot. And if those companies really wanted to, they could come after you. And listen, they go after celebrities all the time. They have to pay thousands and thousands of dollars, even more than what the photo's worth, really, realistically. So you can have an account with a Wireman or Getty. How much does it cost, Dax, to really, if someone, just to give people a ballpark number, if they wanted to have an account where they could kind of use those photos for their social?
Well, you normally have to do a subscription. So let's
Sure.
say it's $300 a month, and that allows you access to, I'm just going to say 20 photos for the month. Well, you have those downloads and you have to use those, or it expires, and then next month you pay another $300. You can set those up. I don't know what they're going for these days. Paparazzi agencies, their subscriptions are going to be very different. It just comes down to, you got to spend a lot of money to be able to afford photos and images. And like you said, there's a lot of accounts that if they haven't got hit by it, I'm sure they will. I know Dumois got hit a while back by one of the big paparazzi agencies saying you cannot just throw up whatever photo you want to use and expect us to sit back and watch you make money off of our images, and it'll shut your account down, like you said. And some people just haven't seen that yet, but I'm sure it'll happen eventually.
They have programs that go through the internet looking for where their photos are stolen or taken if there's a talking head over it. So it's not worth it for us to pay the subscriptions for access to those photos. But I guarantee you pretty much every single major site or even outlet has gotten hit by these sort of usage of content without permission. So, all right, Dax, what's another question?
Sally Pierce asking, what are your 3 biggest celeb surprise stories / the ones you never saw coming? That's a good question. I like that.
You know what's funny? It's a great question, Sally, because like the stories with like Harvey Weinstein, with Ellen, that stuff was brewing for a long time. So what stuff
But
really?
can we say, like, if I think back to when I was younger, I don't think I'd be here with all the Britney stories. I don't think, years and years ago, I thought Britney would just, how do I say this? I didn't think we'd be covering a conservatorship. I didn't think we'd be covering all the wildness that she wouldn't have her children in her life. All those things, years and years back, I wouldn't have seen that coming. I wouldn't have seen Alec Baldwin shooting and killing someone.
Yeah, I mean,
granted that it was an accident, but I mean, that's a huge story that I wouldn't have seen coming.
Yeah. Matt Lauer.
Michael Jackson dying early.
Yeah.
Matt Lauer.
Matt Lauer situation. I mean, that was just like, whoa, like that changed morning TV. In fact, it's funny because then all of a sudden, years later, you see the affair with the other people at Good Morning America.
I think the Rihanna and Chris Brown incident, wouldn't have seen that coming.
Beyonce and Jay-Z in the elevator.
That was wild.
I mean, because that stuff makes you question how much happens behind closed doors. Like how, even though everything looks good on the surface, what's going on behind the scenes, especially Beyonce and Jay-Z. I mean, the Beyonce and Jay-Z, that elevator video might have been the biggest check on their resume because I don't want to say humanized them, but it was like, whoa, like there's
because they were untouchable, this squeaky clean image. You can't ever penetrate the Jay-Z Beyonce shield, right? And that was a look inside of, oh wow, it's not always perfect, or wow, they can't control every narrative surrounding their life.
I'm going to throw a weird one out there that was caught me by surprise, Dax.
Okay.
And this person is not even a celebrity, but it is, but it's not, but it is, but it's not. Jared, the Subway guy.
Oh, all those stories.
The guy's in jail now for pretty much ever. I mean, just about. But who knew the guy was doing, involved with child pornography, and this guy was given a silver spoon. I mean, he just became the face of Subway. He was just an ordinary guy, became the face of Subway. He had the guy was just had to basically make appearances, was making a ton of money. I mean, that one was just like, whoa, you just had it
You know
all.
On that same level, the Mark Salling story.
Oh my God, and how that
This
ended?
dude from Glee, who arguably a very good-looking dude, is now possessing child porn. Like, what? Like, you couldn't entertain your desires with people of your age? Like, it just seems people had to have been throwing themselves at him after Glee, and you're looking at kiddie porn. Like, what?
Yeah. Man, I mean, that's a great question. There's so many that just really catch you by surprise. Even recently, the Justin Timberlake DUI story. I mean, honestly, and for something like that happened in the Hamptons, I almost am surprised that they kind of arrested him. I mean, I'm not. It is what it is. We're still trying to find out what happened there, the situation. In fact, there's a story that happened this week, what they found in his pocket. They found a vape pen in his pocket, which I didn't see if the vape pen was THC or if it was like a regular vape pen. They found like $300, like a gold bracelet or a watch. But in my head, I would think that the cop would just let him go just because he's a celebrity. The fact that they actually arrested him for it, and now he's fighting it, saying I wasn't drunk. I mean, it's just becoming a wilder and wilder story. In fact, I almost look back. I'm like, why don't you just plead guilty or plead, or just pay the fine and that's it. But yeah, that's
what I'm realizing is Sally has entered us into a world of. We could do a whole episode on celebrity stories we never saw coming. Legit. Like, think how many we could really, if we wanted to dive into this and sit down for a couple minutes and think about this, we could go on for 2 hours thinking about things that in the moment we could not believe it happened.
Yeah. Good question, though. Actually, gets us really thinking, but there's so many, like, what? Honestly, with all the deaths that come early, Joan Rivers, how she went out, like during surgery. I mean, that one hit hard for me. That was close. I mean, that was close to home.
Remember what a shock that was when he died?
Man, yeah, good question, though. What's another question, Dax?
Oh, what about Paul Walker? I mean, good God, we could go on all day.
Paul Walker, all right. Car accident, yeah.
Yeah. Sandra Chavez says, have you ever had a celeb say, hey, what's up, Dax or Adam, when they notice you? Yeah.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Not as much like my name. Not as much my name, but my face, they know. In Florida this past year, I was in a casino in Hollywood, and who ran up to me was Camille Kostek, a Sports Illustrated swimsuit model. Awesome. So she ran up to me, and she actually came up. She ran out of nowhere, and she's like, "Love your style, love your look," and she starts doing it to me. And I thought that was the coolest thing. Like she's been a fan of what I do, and she loves this stuff. And she came up to me out of nowhere, and I was like, "Oh, that was cool." Yeah, it's weird, man. A lot of these celebrities know my face, but they don't know my name, and it's very uncomfortable. And sometimes, they see so many people. I even wonder sometimes if they remember me, even remember my face. But anytime, honestly, dude, when I do meet a celebrity and they call me by my name, like when Kevin Hart says my name, I'm like, man, that's cool.
I'm sorry. Every time I hear Oprah say, hey, Adam, I'm just like, God dang it. That's so cool.
Yeah, that's cool. It's very cool. But
I think my first big one that I was shocked about was David Spade running into me. I think it was it wasn't Boa. I don't remember. It was one of the restaurants in Hollywood that no longer exists at this point because it was a steakhouse. STK, I think it was. No, fuck, it doesn't matter. It was at one of the steakhouses, and he was just hamming it up, having a good time, was walking around the corner. We made eye contact, and then he started to hide and stick his head back around the corner, playing it up with me as if I was trying to take photos of him or something. It was really funny, but he was the first person I think was a huge name that recognized me and came up to talk to me. That was dope.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, nothing crazy. But there's a decent amount that know my name. I think a good amount know my face. Like Kim Kardashian, I'm still curious if she knows my face. Then also you wonder, when we were on TMZ, if they watch TMZ and they know me from that. So it's it's definitely very weird, very unique. Honestly, even Floyd Mayweather one time this past winter, and I know Floyd good, like decent amount, but like he was coming out of, and Carmelo Anthony, same thing. It was the same night, I think. They're coming out of the Knicks game, and then they're like walking by, and people are like, "Yo, Carmelo, Floyd!" They're going nuts, like trying to get their attention, and they're like give like the wave, like "Hey, hey," and they're like trying to fight through the crowd, and then they see me, like "Yo, yo, yo, what's up?" And they get excited to see me, like to say hi, and they go like a little bit extra to say hi. That always means a lot. But again, I'm not like Carmelo Anthony, who's a basketball player. I don't think he knows my name, but he knows like my face a little bit. So yeah. All right, Dax, what's another question?
I hope I'm saying this name right. Maya Colleen says, "Have you? Let's see. Have you ever like hired I'm sorry. Wow, I can't read this one. You may have answered this, is what it says. Have celebrities ever hired you for staged paparazzi photo shoots?"
Yeah, and they didn't pay. Yes. I got a call in the fall of last year from Mace, the rapper Mace. He was getting inducted to the Apollo Hall of Fame, and I was shooting something else. And they like the publicist was like, I was like, "Hey, I'm on something else," and they're like, "Well, we'll pay you." And I was like, "All right, well, pay me." And it wasn't even much money. I was like, just give me a few bucks to show up. And honestly, like I was able to own the footage, but they wanted me just to show up and be there. And I think I was like $75, dude. Or no, maybe like $150. Sorry, it was like $150. And I went there, I shot it, and I came back and said, "Hey man, can you guys like throw me the money?" It's $150. And the publicist is like, "Oh, you didn't get it out there." I was like, "Yes, I did." And I even showed them links of where it went. And actually it's funny because when I went there, I tried to interview him more, and he like walked away from the interview. Like he didn't like me like talk to him more than like 45 seconds. I'm like, "Bro, you're paying me to be here. Like, talk to me a little bit more." There was like no paparazzi there. And then I told the publicist, like, "Hey man, like who's going to pay me?" And they're like, "Yeah, you didn't get it where it was going to be." I was like, "I have links to the coverage that got picked up." And I was fighting with the publicist, and she wanted to pay me like $75. She's like, here's $75. Like, go away. I was like, that's fucked up. Like I wouldn't even went to go shoot it, but you guys asked me to go cover it, and you said you were going to pay me. That's the only reason why I went to cover it. So was it paparazzi? No, but they wanted – yes, they wanted the paparazzi effect there. They wanted the camera, so they made it seem like a bigger deal because there's no paparazzi there. Have any other celebrities really paid me? No, not so much. But I've made money on the back end where they're like, "Hey, why don't you come get this shot?" And from getting that photo, I was able to make money from that photo or video. But then sometimes, like a publicist will reach out to me like, "Hey, can you come shoot my client who's some model?" And I'll say, "Is there a budget?" And then they're like, "Oh, isn't this your job?" I go, "Listen, you're getting paid, so should I. I'm not going to, I know your client's not big, and I know I'm not going to make any money editing or fixing the vote or my time to upload, to edit, to fix it up. I'm not going to make any money. So I make them pay me to go shoot their client that's not a big name. But another celebrity that really paid me to shoot them, no, not. I mean,
I've done it the opposite way around. I've hired celebs to partake in paparazzi photos.
Explain
I can't
that.
say names, but there were brands that wanted to get their items out and be seen on celebrities. So I would hire a celebrity to wear their item, and then paparazzi to take the photo to get it into a magazine or on a website. So I've kind of done the opposite way around. Because, it's what is it to the celeb? They're like, "Great, cool. I get a free item and I get paid to do it. And I get photographed leaving, a restaurant for 5 seconds, and boom, I get paid." It's a no brainer for them.
Yeah, it is smart for them. And a lot of celebrities, it's so crazy how many celebrities do it. I think actually Simon Hush. What's that guy's name? Simon. He used to be with Jonathan Chabin. They had a PR company. Simon Huff. One of Kim Kardashian's friends.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah, Huck. Is it Simon Huck?
Simon Huck. I think he kind of made his name kind of doing that stuff where he was doing like getting brands to set up paparazzi photos where they have like Jessica Alba drinking coconut water in Walgreens with like the label sticking out. And I've gotten, I can't think of offhand as a celebrity paid me directly to shoot them, but there's definitely little loops around that. Dax, is there another question?
Jilly Bean wanting to know a little bit about PR relationships, and And do all of them have contracts, even the ones that maybe truly be in a relationship? Oh, so they're asking just PR relationships in general, like fake relationships that celebrities will have that get publicized. They're also asking, Jilly's also asking, maybe can we get a PR person to come on and talk about how they set up relationships? Do they have a contract? And, is there maybe truly a relationship that at the end of the day?
What's your expertise in this?
I think it's more just for press. Like a lot of these relationships, and I don't feel like it happens as much as it used to. I think that the PR relationship was something more like 10 years ago.
What do you think, Dax? What do you think people are getting just called out on their bullshit these days?
I think that is half the reason we don't see it anymore, is because people know about it and they call it out, and that becomes a big story. And then you don't want to look like an idiot that you're faking relationship, because then people don't think you're authentic. I think more than anything, the PR side of it has now become, let's utilize a fake breakup to get press of a real couple. It's not so much, hey, let's have these two celebrities be seen walking a red carpet. It doesn't do it a lot, but people that are truly together, let's fake a breakup, and that's going to cause a lot of headlines.
Yeah, I think it's just people like we doing this podcast and what's going on in Hollywood today. That fourth wall is being kind of revealed more and more. It's becoming the reality show. It's not as much reality TV anymore. And it's like, all right, we understand this is a business just like anyone else. So it's harder to kind of do those type of things.
All right. So Isabel Flavo is asking, have either of you ever met Eminem, and what is he like? She says, I'm such a big fan. I love the fact that he still lives in his hometown and isn't papped much. Have you ever met him?
Met him. I've seen him. Met him. I can't really say I've met him, but I've seen him around. First of all, there's no paparazzi in Detroit. So they're not going to go out of their way. No one's going to fly to Detroit to really paparazzi him. There might be a photographer or two, like old people style, that will maybe try to get a glimpse of him. And you're surprised, even so, not even paparazzi related. I'm surprised that no one gets even like a cell phone shot of like Eminem at Walmart or something random. I've seen him around. The way he travels is very like vampire-ish. Like it's very like, it's not like he walks around shops. Like he moves and he doesn't like walk around. Like I'd be surprised if guys ever walked a full block in New York City in the last 20 years. When he goes from one door to the other, he goes from one door to the other. At least I know in New York, he gets, bombarded. So it's,
I have never met him as well. Would love to. Just get a photo with Eminem would be pretty cool. But
from what I heard, he's a nice guy, though. By the way,
yeah, I've heard he's actually nice guy as well.
Very cool.
I think that a lot of that persona that he has is a stage persona of him being, an asshole a lot of times, making fun of a lot of people, dragging them in his songs. But he's mastered the art of disappearing into the wild when he is not wanting to be seen. Which, by the way, hold on, I want to get to the next question because Megan Nicole asked something very similar. She says, do you know any celebs that have made an effort to disappear from the spotlight of being famous? If so, besides Richard Simmons and maybe Randy Spelling, who would that be?
Ooh, great question.
There's a lot.
Who's someone, Dax, for you that you think just kind of said, all right, thank you so much. I'm going to kind of drift off into the real world.
What about Rob Kardashian? Rob Kardashian fully, his family was becoming the most famous family on the planet, and he was like, thank you, no thank you. I am out of this. Do not put me on camera. Do not photograph me. I want nothing to do with anyone. That was a pretty big, I would say, disappearance. Besides him, Tina Turner moved to Switzerland or something to get out of the spotlight. Morgan Freeman moved to the middle of the country to get away from paparazzi and just live his life low key.
You could say Rick Moranis, but Rick Moranis was a different situation. His wife passed away and he had 2 young children and he wanted to kind of like raise his kids. He had to raise his kids. So he kind of left the industry. I mean, who else? Yeah, you said Tina Turner. That's someone you just don't really.
You didn't see. What
Yeah.
about Nelly Furtado? Nelly Furtado for a
She's
long
back
time.
out. Yeah.
She's back, but she wanted to go raise kids, not be in the spotlight. She disappeared. You did not see a thing from Nelly Furtado for a long time. And it was funny because probably her being gone for like 10 years, I started to like, okay, I want to try to get a hold of her, see if she'd be like willing to do a Where Is She Now kind of episode with us. And then she came back and I was like, and now we're never going to get her on the podcast because now she is back and making music with some of the biggest names in the industry. She's going to be huge again. I would also, Tracy Chapman disappeared. You know, she just, I don't know, didn't want to be bothered and just was gone. And the first time I had seen her in years and years and years was at the Grammy Awards when she performed. And that was awesome seeing her back up on stage.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny. I met Nelly Furtado recently. Super sweet, super nice. I was surprised she had a bodyguard with her. And I was like, dude, not for nothing. She could walk down the street. I think no one's going to, maybe one person say,
Really?
Hey, hello. Yeah. I was surprised she needed a bodyguard. I was like, it's a little too extra. I was like, that's actually giving you away that something's going on. But for the most part, no one's going to go crazy. Yeah, I was surprised.
That's actually that's also a good episode topic. Celebrities who have disappeared from the spotlight.
Write that down. It's a great question. I would have to. Yeah, there's.
So Megan went on to say, it seems to me like after making a certain amount of money, you just want to peace out and become anonymous and enjoy your millions in peace. But we rarely ever hear about that. I mean, I think that's kind of, you know, you mentioned him before, Richard Simmons, but I think that's what he wanted to do, is not be in the spotlight, not have to deal with being famous anymore. And apparently he had a bunch of disguises, so he would go out in disguises and I mean, think about that. There's a lot of celebs that say, hey, this life is amazing, but I would also like to be anonymous for a day or two and just enjoy walking through the streets and not be that person all the time.
Yeah. Dax, what's another question you got?
Kristen says, what two celebrities, I'm going to make this our last question because we're kind of running out of time here. Kristen says, what two celebrities would you take into a zombie apocalypse with you and why? That's a good question.
Good question. Zombie apocalypse. I mean, are we trying to live or are we just trying to have a good time? Like, are we trying to
just have a good time in a zombie apocalypse? Yeah. I would say I would take Bear Grylls into my zombie apocalypse. And then I need I don't know, like Baptista or something. Because I need help defending against the zombies, but I also want to survive. So I've got these two people to help me survive and fend off zombies. Those are my two people for the apocalypse.
Yeah, I would do like a John Bernthal, where he's just,
who that is.
You know, John Bernthal. He's been in tons of stuff. He was in The Punisher, the new one. He was in Wolf of Wall Street. Look up John Bernthal. Dax, as soon as you say the name, you'll know who he is. He's just one of those guys where he just seems like angry but aggressive. Like he would be proactive.
He'd be proactive against the zombies.
Yeah, I think that's what you look for. You want someone who's proactive. And then
what'd you say his name was?
John Bernthal.
John Bernthal.
Jon, I think it is.
Oh yeah, he looks like he could kick some ass.
Yeah, I mean, he just looks. I don't think he's the biggest one, but he just looks like someone like. He's
you're saying because he was in The Walking Dead. I get it now.
Oh no, honestly, I forgot that
he's already got zombie experience, and that's why you put him on your team. That's a cop out.
You know what? I'm not even bringing him from The Walking Dead experience. I'm just saying he's just a very intense guy. So you want someone who's like intense. And then I would bring in my head, I was like, do I bring Wesley Snipes? But I wouldn't do something like Wesley Snipes.
He also has zombie experience, doesn't he? Or no, he's got
Blade
experience. Yeah.
Keanu Reeves, but Keanu Reeves, I feel like he's like a dancer.
The nicest guy ever. He's gonna be like, let's make
let's make a trade. Yeah, let's make a trade. Guys like Keanu Reeves and guys like Jean-Claude Van Damme, like to me, I don't think they could really fight. And you could say like Keanu Reeves, I've seen like the videos of him like using a gun. and he's like very good with like using a gun. But I want someone like when it comes to hand-to-hand combat, and I don't think Keanu Reeves would be on top of his game. So I would go, and honestly, I wouldn't even say The Rock, because The Rock is all big and he's jacked and he's on like whatever products he's on, but I don't think he can move well. So no, who's my second one? I think John Bernthal.
Kristen, this is a great question. This is a phenomenal question. This is right up our alley, to be honest.
Man, tough question. I'm trying to give you like a really good. I'm really trying to think about like if actually this was going on. Batista's not a bad choice.
He's also a big dude. I don't know how fast he's going to be either.
Yeah, I saw him trying to do dance recently, and like he just can't really move. Like I don't know, there was some like video of him trying to promote his new movie with Dr. Ken from Hangover, and he really he physically like he just doesn't move well.
What about that guy from the Olympics that was that professional shooter that didn't give up?
That guy would be great. That guy, honestly,
because he's good with a gun, and he just sit there and be like, let's do this. And then
Dax,
keep all the zombies out.
I bring Hugh Jackman. The reason I bring Hugh Jackman, I think he'd be entertaining. And I think Hugh Jackman, it just works really hard. So I need someone who's going to be proactive and work really hard.
But he doesn't have his Wolverine claws.
Yeah, but I just think the guy would work hard. And I need someone who's like an overachiever. And I think that's what he is.
But what if you expected Wolverine and you got The Greatest Showman?
Yeah, exactly. That's like rooting for Jake Gyllenhaal, and then you get the Brokeback Mountain Jake Gyllenhaal. You're like, oh, really? Like that's the you want someone who's going to be just not be aggressive. So I don't know. I go for Hugh Jackman. That's my pick.
Oh, that's so funny. Well, these were fun. I have to say, my the question of the day, I'm going to have to go to Kristen Elisa. That was a great question. It was fun to answer, something that we don't typically get asked. So I loved it.
A lot of fun. Thank you for taking the time. And thank you guys for listening. If you're watching on Red Coral, shout out to Red Coral. It's a really good streaming site where they're supporting us, promoting the podcast. So we are helping them promote Red Coral. It's a really, really awesome streaming site, just like a YouTube. We're also on TikTok.
More importantly, we get better splits than we get on any other streaming platform. So by watching on Red Coral, it truly helps us out. We don't ask for money. So just deciding to watch there over YouTube is a huge help for us. Obviously, YouTube has a much bigger platform, but Red Coral for us is huge. So if you don't know how to get there, go to HollywoodRaw.com, and the top link on there is to Red Coral, where you can watch us.
And check out our private Facebook group, Off the Record. You guys should be in it. It's a really, really fun community. Follow me at Adam Glyn. Follow Dax Holt at Dax Holt, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
What's up, guys? If you like that video, there's plenty more where that came from.
Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell, so we can just feed you all the goodness daily.
Hurry up. Come on, let's go.